Hey, I'm Pastor Shane. Welcome to another episode of Family Foundations. Teenage anxiety is skyrocketing. Today, we want to look at some of the cultural trends that are fueling the rise in anxiety, and then how we as parents need to actually engage our anxious kids. The statistics today of young people struggling with anxiety are alarming. And this pandemic has only further escalated and cemented anxiety-related issues into young people. But the signs were on the door a long time ago. Check out the cover of Time magazine from November of 2016. See, over 5 years ago, the growing anxiety trends in kids and in youth, they were evident. But I think our assumptions that young people are resilient and they need to just simply toughen up, we thought it would just solve the problems. I think we were wrong. Mental health issues are getting a lot of attention today, and rightfully so. With the National Institute of Health reporting that 1 in 3 teens suffer from an anxiety disorder, it's time we as parents start paying attention to actually what's going on with our youth. See, if 33% of teens have an anxiety disorder, that just represents the teens that have actually had a clinical diagnosis. I would gather that the number of teens who actually have anxiety is much higher. So what actually is causing this? James Emery White, in his book, Meet Generation Z, gives us 4 cultural trends that are crippling the mental health of our kids, and we're going to look at those today. The first trend is that this is predominantly a post-Christian generation. You can make the argument that Canada has never fully been Christian. But what is meant by a post-Christian generation is that our young people are growing up in a time when Christianity is no longer the dominant voice on matters of civil operation, such as the values, the cultures, the worldviews that young people have. Everyone is able to have their own truth and see things how they see things. So not only does this actually paralyze young people with an endless selection of philosophies, beliefs, rituals, lifestyles, but God is not viewed as one to look to for help, guidance, or direction. So if you're to look at Philippians 4, 6, and 7, you will see that God gives his peace to the anxious when they actually ask him. Check out the descriptive words that describe what the opposite of peace is: tension, animosity, discord. It's no wonder that these words are accurate descriptors of our young generation. When God is removed, so is his peace. This generation is also recession marked. Speaking of descriptive words, this generation is caught up in a perpetuating cycle of chaos, uncertainty, volatility, and complexity. Now, there have always been problems every generation has faced, but look at what our young people have actually lived through. 9/11, where terrorism no longer is something experienced in foreign countries. School shootings, where almost every school now has armed security guards to deter offenders. Housing market collapses. Stock market crashes, massive unemployment, pandemics, racial wars, and a hyper-connected world that brings all the reality of evil directly into their devices in their pockets. It's no wonder why the majority of youth are scared today. Anyone can quickly turn into their enemy, and even healthy peers could potentially give them a virus that further cripples their ability to function regularly as kids. And when everything is negative, such as what they constantly hear on their social feed or the news, it's no wonder why 80% of young people want to be entrepreneurs so they can control their own fate if there's another employment crisis. This generation is Wi-Fi enabled. I'm not going to be apologetic here. Our young people are far too connected. Yes, everything today is digital, and in many ways, it is the means in which interaction and commerce takes place. But Barna reports that the average teen spends 9 hours per day absorbing media. This is creating multiple issues that lead to anxiety in kids and in teens. You see, with every video game console or every social media platform, there's a digital identity that kids are trying to manage. No longer do they focus on who they are just as a person. It's all about who they are in a digital identity. And really, they can be anyone they want to be online. See, what causes so much stress is the burden of living in reality, as they can't in person become who they are online. And speaking of their online identity, it is completely left up to the opinion of other keyboard warriors to determine whether you get a like or a retweet. See, the efforts that youth go through to gain the approval of others online is immense. And it continues to push youth deeper and deeper into their digital identities instead of actually living in reality. And the hyperconnectivity of our youthful generation, it creates a perfect marketplace for fear headlines, social media algorithms. It continues to bombard youth with targeted headlines that promote further engagement with unbiblical ideologies, which continues to fuel the rise and popularity of socialism, which has actually gained 10% approval ratings just in this last year with Canadian teens. So when young people are bombarded with messages of fear, they're going to just live in this state of fear. This generation is sexually fluid. No longer is it fringe or the minority to be LGBTQ today. It's as mainstream as anything else. I actually gather this may be creating a lot of gender confusion amongst young people today. As in a recent Family Foundations episode, I chatted with my friend Tyler from Youth for Christ, who indicated that if you are not experimenting with same-sex genders today, you are in the minority. See, when the average age of a teen to declare themselves something other than heterosexual is age 14, then there are a lot of 9, 10, 11, 12, 13-year-olds who are experimenting with sexual fluidity. How on earth is a child supposed to have the cognitive understanding to be able to appropriately make these types of decisions? And when media, our schools, the colleges, the universities, one's peers, when everyone seems to be advocating for experimentation today, young people are left on their own to determine who they are as sexual beings, even when they don't even have questions about it. So parents, considering these different cultural trends, we need to be vigilant. Our jobs as parents are to disciple our kids, and helping our kids to discern healthy cultural engagement, it actually is crucial. So here are 4 different places to start when it comes to helping our kids navigate these times. Firstly, our kids don't see God in their world, so it becomes so much more important today that our kids see God in our homes. See, as parents, we need to make knowing and loving God an absolute priority. They need to see us as parents loving and serving the church, reading our Bibles and talking about God. They need to see us praying and worshiping. They need to see mom and dad modeling what they preach. See, in our post-Christian world, we need post-secular homes. Secondly, there's no better time for us to hold on to the hope we have in Christ and rest in his promises. I want to encourage you as a family to together memorize Jeremiah 29:11 and continue to come back to this verse time and time again. Yes, at times this world can seem scary, and it seems like really the worst place to raise kids in. But in God's providence, he has you and he has me raising kids in this time. He will help us, and he's going to help our kids get through. So let's rest in him. Thirdly, have a family digital detox. Like I said earlier, this is a digital world, and we really can't escape all the digital realities that we have. But taking time to disconnect is beneficial. Whether it's just one evening a week or one weekend a month, use that time to put away all the devices, turn off all the screens, and just be together as a family, doing things relationally, playing games, crafts, getting outside, going camping together. And fourthly, no longer is acceptance what people are looking for today. They are actually wanting affirmation. See, the more mainstream non-biblical ideologies become, the more our young people will be pressured to affirm them to be right and true. The best place to start with educating our kids about opposing ideologies to what is Christian doctrine is simply just start having conversations about it. Us as parents need to be in front of these things if we're going to actually help our kids to think critically about matters of their faith. Well, I hope this helps you as parents to navigate some stormy waters. If you have any thoughts, questions, or comments, feel free to send me an email. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.